what for Richard Gough lost for Tottenham against Coventry 2 years ago. So going down the line of Rangers players, there's Ian Ferguson shielding his eyes, who scored the winner for St Mirren against Dundee United 2 years ago. And Mark Walters there also enjoying his first major National Cup final occasion. So there's the Celtic manager, Billy McGhee. As possible. What for Richard Gough lost for Tottenham against Coventry 2 years ago. So going down the line of Rangers players, there's Ian Ferguson shielding his eyes, who scored the winner for St Mirren against Dundee United 2 years ago. And Mark Walters there also enjoying his first major National Cup final occasion. So there's the Celtic manager, Billy McNeil on the right. He has 7 Cup winners' medals as a player in a very long, illustrious career at Celtic Park. Roy Aitken has played in 4 Cup finals before this afternoon. Tommy Burns also loads of experience in Cup finals. And Anton Rogan, there's Chris Morris, there was speculation about his future. Derek Whyte back in the side. And the Celtic players with Peter Grant, who was so disappointed being left out last season through injury at the last moment. A very colourful sight as the SFA hierarchy go down the line. There's new president Peter Gardner is there. David Holmes, the chairman of Rangers, introducing Ian Lang, the Scottish Office Minister, to the players, together with Peter Gardner and Jack McGinn, the Celtic chairman, coming on at the end. And there are the linesmen. Ernie Walker there, perhaps in charge as SFA secretary, his last Scottish Cup final. The officials this afternoon, Bob Valentine with George Dunbar and Bob Mullen, the linesman. And now it's the turn of the Celtic players to be introduced. Jack McGinn organising himself to make the introductions. And Walker standing back while the players are introduced to Ian Lang and to the SFA president, the new president Peter Gardner from Stirling Albion. So the players anxious to get these formalities over with, there can be no doubt about that. And Billy McNeil on the end, proud occasion leading out his team for a Scottish Cup final once again. So the masked pipe bands behind, Roy Aitken looking very relaxed and calm. Well, you really could imagine a better setting. The pitch looking in magnificent condition, although the grass is a little bit longer than you would normally expect for a major final. Teams now breaking for the warm-up. White bands there, Billy McNeil makes for the dugout for a very tense 90 minutes to come. Still manages a smile as he takes his seat. So there's the Celtic players now lining up and warming up finally for the start of the match. Well, we know their lineup already. There it is, confirmation once again, and the news from their camp is that the central defenders will be Mick McCarthy and Derek Whyte, with Roy Aitken adding some strength to midfield alongside Peter Grant and Paul McStay, with Tommy Burns on the left flank. And it's the 32nd birthday for Mark McGhee, who's enjoyed such a magnificent season for Celtic, scoring 19 times so far. And he, of course, has 3 Cup winners' medals in successive years, 82, 83, 84, playing for Aberdeen. So Rangers, confirmation there of their troubles through injury. They had no Ray Wilkins, no Derek Ferguson. That's why Graham Souness is there on the bench. Well, Sterland is wearing number 5, but we expect him to play on the right side of midfield, with the centre of midfield occupied by Ian Ferguson and John Brown. So for Mel Sterland, a very important afternoon after his recent signing from Sheffield Wednesday, where he was coached early in his career by Ian St John. And he normally plays at right back, or did so before coming to Rangers, where he's played in midfield for most of his matches since coming north. Well, Roy Aitken has 3 Cup winners' medals already. He was also involved in that incident in 1984 when he was ordered off against Aberdeen. And it was today's referee, Bob Valentine, who was in charge on that occasion. but Aitken looking forward to his 5th final. Souness enjoying the warm-up, although he'll not start the match. He's out there in the field, and of course, with the SFA ban not applying to him when he's named as substitute, he can be in the dugout this afternoon. So there's a wonderful setting there, the fans behind in shirt sleeves. Really is very warm indeed out there, and the players will find that very testing. Well, Joe Miller's had a great resurgence in form towards the end of the season, wearing number 9, and he may well play through the middle where he thinks he can play very effectively indeed. He's now persuaded Billy McNeil of that. And the Rangers and Scotland centre forward, McCoist, playing in his first Scottish Cup final. He's managed most of the honours in the game, apart from a Scottish Cup winner's medal, and there can be no doubting his determination to put that right this afternoon. Souness heading for the dugout now. Walter Smith is still up in the director's box. Souness standing there for the moment with Jimmy Nicholl on his left, the reserve team coach, player coach. So there's the sun-kissed setting for the 104th Scottish Cup final. It's the 13th Old Firm final. And referee Bob Valentine checking with his linesman to begin his last match in charge in Scottish football as Rangers will get the match underway. Well, the opening minutes expected to be very important indeed to make an impact on the play. There's Derek Whyte making a good clearance from Kevin Drinkell. And indeed Rangers have sprung a surprise straight away tactically. They've left John Brown at the back with Stuart Munro pushing forward on the left side of midfield. So that's very interesting at this stage. With this free kick now to Rangers, Ian Ferguson will take it once the referee is satisfied about the positioning of the 2-man Celtic wall, Peter Grant and Tommy Barnes. Ferguson looping the ball in, headed away by McCarthy. Ferguson to Sterland. There's Anton Rogan with a headed clearance. So a throw to Rangers, it'll be taken by Sterland. A long ball into the middle, McCarthy challenged there by Butcher. With Ian Ferguson to McCoist. There's Terry Butcher trying the long range effort. Well saved by Bonner. Butcher racing back now into defence. So a very impressive opening there, Ian, by Rangers.
Very bright opening indeed, and I would think that when they get free kicks, corner kicks, the big Terry and Gough up there, the Rangers will be looking to try and find them.
Headed away by John Brown, wearing 10, but
Yes, but it's a good ploy, isn't it? Because McStay is a man that can make Celtic quick, and if you can nullify him, then you're going a long way towards turning the game in your own favour. So it'll be interesting to watch and see, if Munro can do the job and keep McStay quiet.
So free kick to Rangers, a foul by Derek Whyte, challenging for that high ball. The Butcher has a chance to go forward once again. Richard Gough staying back to take the free kick. McCarthy trying to watch that ball hanging in the air. There's Sterland. Well, Rangers playing with the benefit of the breeze. And this high ball played in by Gough. An awkward one hanging in the air there, and it was McCarthy who headed it clear straight to Sterland, who couldn't keep the volley down.
Neil Sterland, I was having a chat with him before the game, and although he's only played one game at right back, I think he's quite enjoying this role in midfield. But down in England, you know, he was a very aggressive player, very strong running player, coming from the back, and I would expect to see him doing that this afternoon.
Celtic coming forward. Here's Roy Aitken with Mark McGhee. John Brown going in with that powerful challenge on McGhee. The referee gives the throw. Mark McGhee looking for a free kick in vain. Aitken playing on the right side of midfield. Peter Grant in the middle marking Ian Ferguson of Rangers. There's Joe Miller. Running into Butcher. Here's Paul McStay. Back it goes to Grant. Well, they kept the shot down well, Peter Grant. Still to find the net this season. This isn't a bad effort, taking the pass from Paul McStay, and the shot goes wide. Still no difficult work for Chris Woods to do in the match. Helped on there by Sterland with Bonds. Drinkell collects. Brought down there by Anton Rogan. Well, Drinkell in a very tight corner here, playing the ball past the fullback and then being brought down. Well, Anton Rogan, the offender, and the free kick again entrusted to Richard Gough. He waits for Butcher to go into the box. Butcher's the target, all right. He's won it well. There's Aitken. Header forward by Aitken. And the early news coming from Wembley is that Steve McMahon has given Liverpool an early lead. Well, there's a very good start for you, Ian, for your cold club.
Yeah, it brought a smile to my face, that one.
Well, one change in that information. Liverpool have scored, but the scorer was not Steve McMahon. It was the inevitable frontman, John Aldridge, who got the goal for Liverpool. Chris Morris going forward. There's John Brown looking for Munro. That's won well by McStay. All very hectic for the moment. There's a good pass by Munro. Drinkell on the run. That was intended, I think, for McCoist, but it's Anton Rogan who's gone across. He had to slide in there to avoid a corner kick, taking a photographer with him. So Mark Walters with the throw for Rangers. Walters towards Sterland. Bonds is the marker. That's a good turn by Tommy Bonds. Long ball into space, but too far away from Joe Miller. Celtic playing a very rigid 4-4-2 formation early on with Miller and McGhee up front. A lot of hard work for the front men. Well, the shut sleeve crowd enjoying this very fast start to the match. Brown playing it up the line, but McCoist can't reach it. McCarthy sending it all the way back to Bonner. The Celtic now trying to make progress on the left. There's Rogan. There's McStay. Rogan towards Bonds. Excellent control there from Bonds, inducing that clumsy challenge from Gary Stevens. Referee Valentine has a word with the English international fullback. And it's a free kick to Celtic. Taking it short to Rogan. Stevens going with the header, it breaks to Aitken. And Gough calmly back to Chris Woods. Gough anxious to avoid the disappointment he experienced 2 years ago playing for Tottenham against Coventry in the FA Cup final, losing by 3-2. Well, to have the misfortune to be in one of those unfortunate Dundee United lineups. The decision goes Rangers' way. McCarthy's clearance. Headed down well by Aitken. The challenge came from Ian Ferguson, but he showed his stud to Paul McStay, and the free kick's been given for dangerous play. No damage done on McStay, and it's McCarthy with the free kick. McGhee signalling for the ball. Aimed for Aitken. Controlled by Butcher. Sure-footed pass back by McCarthy. Gough header very accurate. Headed by Peter Grant, goes for the Rangers throw. McCoist trying to turn with McCarthy. Here's Bonds. Determination on the face of Tommy Bonds. Linesman's flag is up. Throw to Celtic. Bob Mullen from Kirkcaldy is the linesman. McGhee, challenged well by Stevens. McCoist taken on the back by McCarthy. The referee allows play to continue. Joe Miller nodding it on, chasing his own header, but John Brown is across behind the central defence. Well, 10 minutes gone, but fairly untidy so far, Ian.
Well, yes, I think both teams just feeling their way a little bit, you know, trying to get themselves into the game. There's been nothing too exciting as yet. As he says, you know, it's going to be one of those games where they might feel each other out for quite some time before we really get the skilled players breaking their way into the game. You know, Mark Walters, for instance, not really had a touch of the ball at the moment, and we're all waiting to see what he can do. We're waiting to see what Joe Miller can do when he gets the ball at his feet. But I mean, that'll happen very soon.
Ball in there again for Kevin Drinkell. Played forward by Sterland from McCoist. He's very strong in possession, but it's Rogan who wins it from him. Aitken once again available on the right side of the Celtic midfield. With Mark McGhee. Now Bonds. Nasty challenge there by Sterland. A judged fair by referee Valentine. The referee appears determined to keep the match flowing. With Derek Whyte. Good interception by Gough. An awkward one for Butcher with Miller challenging. Butcher did well. Stevens trying to bring Walters into play. Well, the defending players just content to clear the lines for the moment. Determined that they don't make any early mistakes, which could throw the initiative to the opposing side.
I don't think Celtic are set out to play in the sort of cavalier manner that they did in the semi-final game against Hibs, if you remember, when they had a tremendous first half. You know, they're more patient, and I think they've probably thought about this, that you know, if they can bed themselves down early on in the game, you'd excite them really. If they can bed themselves down in the early part of the game, then they've probably got a better chance than charging out Rangers.
Well, that charge there by Kevin Drinkell almost brought problems to the Celtic defence. A great piece of goalkeeping by Pat Bonner. Coming out smart there, managing to keep the ball inside the 18-yard box despite the claims of Drinkell. There's Bonds with a header. Brown towards Ferguson. There's Stevens. Drinkell trying to get in behind Whyte. Derek Whyte did well. Kept his body between Drinkell and goal. Ellis winning the throw off Walters. Neat turn by Miller away from Butcher. Bonds is free on the left. Promising this for Celtic. Bonds chipping it in. There's Butcher in the middle. Well, a little chip pass was aimed for Joe Miller, but Butcher won that cleanly. Now it's with McGhee. Aitken going back, using Chris Morris supporting from right back. That's for McStay. Well, too much pace on the pass. It was McStay who made the opening with a run into the box, but Morris couldn't find him.
But he had lost his marker, Paul McStay there, and if Munro's going to do the job, then he's got to stick with him, and if McStay makes runs into the box, Jock, you know, he's got to follow him in there.
Sterland challenging, Grant and Ferguson together. Stuart Munro making the challenge also on Grant. Bonner going for the orthodox, long ball forward. Well won by Gough. Rogan lets it run, and it'll be Celtic who try to make progress with McGhee. There's McCarthy. Aitken again. Under pressure from Brown. Aitken's header. Here's Joe Miller. He's away from Butcher. Miller's shot off target, but quite clearly now Celtic are trying to use the pace on the ground of Joe Miller against Terry Butcher. An interesting ploy that, Ian.
Well, it's a very sound ploy when you think about it, Joe, because the one thing big centre-halves don't like is little nippy forwards around them, and Joe Miller is exactly that. He's a small fella and very quick, and if Celtic can get a ball into him, into his feet, I'm sure he'll give Big Terry quite an afternoon of it.
So a quarter of an hour of the cup final gone, still no scoring. And still going through the tense, nervous opening period. The game still to settle to any real pattern. A lot of respect being shown by both sides. In the 4-4-2 formation, still much joy for the strikers yet. Butcher in the box for Gough's free kick. There's Walters. And Bonner calls to his Republic of Ireland teammate, McCarthy, to leave that. So Bonner commanding his penalty area. Brown's header into midfield. Goes in Ferguson. Walters and Morris together. The tackle came from Stuart Munro, who's not at all pleased that the referee has given the throw to Celtic. Morris and Walters debating the issue on the touchline. The referee Bob Valentine having a quiet word with both players as play continues. Touched on by Walters, but Roy Aitken is penalised for barging into the Rangers number 11. It's a free kick to Rangers rather. Walters trying to get involved in the play. He's had a lean time of it so far. The way the game has gone. It's John Brown with a free kick. There's Gough. Joyce put his head to the ball, but could cause any problems for Bonner. Away there by Butcher, challenging Roy Aitken. Butcher steps in ahead of Miller. So he's trying to control it under pressure from Whyte, who did well. This is Aitken. Joe Miller has come off Butcher again, but he's firmly tackled by Ferguson. Joe Miller didn't relish that challenge by Ian Ferguson. The referee Bob Valentine saw nothing amiss. Here's Paul McStay with his shadow, Stuart Munro close to him. This is Rogan. McGhee to Miller. Well, they couldn't control it on the run. But Miller has shown great ability in coming off the Rangers central defenders to take possession on the ground. McCarthy and McCoist together, a tangle between the two players, and the referee gives a free kick to Rangers. McCoist on the ground, we'll see why here. There's wrestling going on. McCarthy holding McCoist back. Zahn caught McCoist about the face. The free kick's gone to Rangers. There's going to be some tussle this between Ali McCoist and McCarthy. Now an opportunity for Rangers from a set piece. 4 in the wall for Celtic. They'll have to move a long way back. Well, ideally Rangers need a left-footed player for this one. Davy Cooper is on the bench. It would be ideal for him. A discussion involving Ferguson, Walters and, well, Sterland. Sterland playing it in low. Drinkell back to Munro. No offside flag. There's John Brown. Trying to get away from Morris. McCarthy in plenty of space. Stevens across to Gough. He'll take no chances. Well, Mark McGhee very close to him. Gough looking just a shade casual with a pass back.
Well, you see, the grass is a bit long, you know, Joe. We did talk about that before the match, and you know, the ball's stuck in the grass, and the players don't like it when it's just that little bit long. You know, they prefer it when it's shorter, where the ball rolls quicker on the ground.
Well, there's the aerial shot of Hampden Park, a very impressive setting indeed. There's where the action is, on the field. Offside decision giving a free kick to Celtic. McGhee looking for space up front. McCarthy's free kick. Gough commanding his defence. Drinkell to Ferguson. Here's Munro. Now Brown. Put under pressure severely there by Paul McStay. Good challenge by Morris and Walters. This is McStay. Good running by Morris. Can he reach it in time? Well, the long grass didn't hold that one up.
The referee, you know, has allowed quite a few tackles from the back, and I'm just wondering if he's maybe just a little bit lenient now, because players are getting agitated. He's allowed about half a dozen tackles that normally you'd expect him to go for a foul. Now, I know he's wanting to keep the game going, and that is important, but we're now at a stage where if he doesn't stop it, you know, players start losing their temper, and the game could get really untidy.
Yes, indeed. Let's hope he doesn't have to start exerting discipline with any yellow cards early on. Here's a break from McCoist. The pass came from Ian Ferguson. Good running by Stevens, but Rogan was alert to that. And the goal kick was awarded by the linesman and acknowledged by the referee. Good piece of defending, though, by Anton Rogan, who anticipated that move very well indeed to make the challenge on Stevens. Winning it comfortably for Rangers. McCarthy helping it forward. There's Butcher again on McGhee. Chris Morris with the long pass back. A lot of speculation about Chris Morris's future. Whether he'll be staying at Celtic Park or moving south. Leeds United being hotly tipped to make a bid for his transfer. Under pressure from McGhee, did well. There's McCarthy. Ian Ferguson finds Walters. The first real chance he's had to run at the Celtic defence. And the pace of Chris Morris equal to the task. Free kick goes to Celtic. Well, Walters looked inquiringly at the referee. Well, Walters was keen to make a break here, and he did seem to push into the back of Morris. The climbing there by Richard Gough as far as the referee was concerned. He's really unhappy, Gough, about that decision. Joe Miller was the player he was challenging. Didn't appear to be a great deal in that. Certainly some frustration for Gough, and a set piece for Celtic to exploit. Shot from McStay to Barnes. Here's Rogan. Aitken's at the far corner of the box. Brown was there for Rangers. Here's Morris. Aitken going wide. And obstruction by Brown. Roy Aitken appears to think that was deliberate. Brown makes no complaint about the free kick being awarded to Celtic. The crowded Rangers penalty box now. McCarthy in the thick of it. Headed away by Butcher. Here's Paul McStay showing delightful control. McGhee has the cross blocked by Brown. There's McGhee. Great turn. Drinkell back helping in defence. There's Derek Whyte put under pressure immediately by Ian Ferguson, and that's what forced the hurried ball forward.
Well, we haven't seen an awful lot of skillful football, have we? And controlled football. It's been a very scrappy game. In fact, there's only Paul McStay really that looks as if he can play a bit this afternoon. He's shown a bit of quality, but the others it just seem to be hash and a bash and just knock it forward and charge around.
So around the 25-minute mark, still no scoring here at Hampden. It's all very evenly balanced at the moment. And a bad knock in the face for Tommy Burns. Came from Sterland. Now Tommy Burns wears contact lenses, so that could be particularly awkward for Burns. Well, an accidental blow in the face it was, undoubtedly. And Tommy Burns clearly looks in some trouble. Here was the ball played forward hurriedly by Sterland, right into the face of Burns. And with the contact lenses adding a little bit of extra concern to the Celtic bench, this is a moment of anxiety for Celtic. A very severe blow in the face from the ball. And Tommy Burns looks as though he's recovering quickly now. Well, this certainly would have sore one. No question about that. And happily Burns appears able to resume, and the contact lens remains in place. Stevens with a throw. Rogan's header with Sterland, well tackled by Grant. Drinkell getting back well. Breaks to Munro. Here's McCoist. Drinkell towards Walters, who was caught offside. Mark Walters joining the front men for that move. Caught isolated there in offside position. Rogan easing the ball back again to Bonner. Celtic pushing forward for the long ball, which really is food and drink for Butcher and Gough when it goes through the middle. There's Butcher this time. McCarthy winning it in the air. Here's Ian Ferguson trying to assert himself in midfield for Rangers. Tackled well by McStay. Brown up the line for McCoist. McCarthy steps in. Brown again, looking for movement for this throw. Walters with the run. There's Peter Grant. Long one for Miller to chase. Butcher wins it in the air. Brown couldn't keep it in play. Roy Aitken taking the throw from his role on the right side of midfield. Chris Morris playing it forward. Mark McGhee caught in line with Richard Gough. The referee acknowledging the linesman's flag for offside and allowing play to continue with Chris Woods in possession for Rangers. Drinkell's header goes straight to Rogan. He comes out to Stevens. Well, it really is untidy play for the moment. McCarthy turns it back. Not vintage stuff, Ian.
Well, Gary Stevens giving the ball away there. I mean, that's ridiculous, really, at this level. You know, I mean, you've got to, when you've got that ball, you've got to keep a hold of it as a team, and neither side are managing to do that. But I did feel that Rangers would miss somebody in midfield who, you know, who could really pull the strings for them, and that's what's happening. There's nobody there with the quality. You know, if Graham Souness, you know, was a couple of years younger and playing in there, I'm sure we'd see a different game.
Drinkell with a pass, a good one for Walters to chase. Good control under pressure from Walters. He's still holding off Chris Morris. And it needed the help of Roy Aitken coming back to halt the progress of Walters. Well, that'll give him a little boost. Munro looking for McCoist. That's good defending by Derek Whyte. Good Butcher. McCoist sets off in chase. Oh, good play by McCoist. Here's Walters. Drinkell waits in the middle. Sterland arriving late, and Tommy Burns taking no chance at all, nodding that behind, really off his shoulder for the corner kick. So persistent play there by Ali McCoist, retrieving that ball at the byline, earning Rangers in the end the corner kick, which Mel Sterland will take. Butcher making for the centre of the penalty box. There's Richard Gough. Played away by Aitken. Here's McGhee now. Celtic trying to hit in the break. Through the middle goes Grant. Nudging the ball away from Gough. A hefty tackle there by Gough on Grant. Roy Aitken looks irate. And referee Bob Ballantyne is going to have a word with Richard Gough. Well, Peter Grant made a tremendous run from defence when Celtic broke. And you'll see this now. There's going to be a booking for Gough. There was the high challenge by Richard Gough, and it will result in a yellow card being shown to the Rangers international defender. Well, the referee, who has been a little bit indulgent earlier on, now books Gough, and I feel a little bit of sympathy for the Rangers defender. Well,
I must say, I thought Richard Gough had travelled back, and it was really just a clash of bodies there going for the ball. Richard Gough must have run, 60 yards from the Celtic penalty area, and I thought he was doing a good job getting back, and really I didn't think that was a bookable offence at all. I think that was purely accidental.
Well, Peter Grant has recovered, yes, I must say. I felt a little bit of sympathy there for Gough. He did appear to try to play the ball, but Kevin Drinkell going in firmly on Tommy Burns and inflicting a bit of damage on the veteran Celtic midfield player. The referee being invited to consider that carefully too by Tommy Burns. Kevin Drinkell was involved. Only Burns felt the studs were shown. The throw goes out. So it's Anton Rogan now with the throw. Here's Joe Miller, played forward by Sterland. There's Chris Morris. Well, it is very important, I think, now, Ian, for referee Bob Ballantyne to keep a sensible grip in proceedings. If there's a sense of injustice among the players, there could be a little bit of a flare-up here.
Well, I was saying that before. I know he's got a difficult job. Obviously, it's not easy out there, you know, Celtic Rangers, the atmosphere as it is, and trying to be, you know, given impartial decisions on everything. But, you know, he's got to be careful here because the game could fire up.
So the clock showing, we're past the 32-minute mark without any scoring. Without either goalkeeper, in all honesty, being seriously troubled so far. Sterland going in heavily on Paul McStay, and McStay took a very heavy blow around the chest. And that dagger from Sterland, which the referee is taking no action about. Billy McNeil is clearly upset about that, and I must say there did appear to be a little bit of recklessness here on the part of Sterland. They clashed here with McStay on the ground. Pat Bonner turns the ball out. The referee saw nothing worthy of a foul about that, and I have to say this is the kind of incident which can cause problems, because Sterland did appear to be at best a little bit reckless in that challenge.
We hear the challenge coming up, and Sterland played the ball and then carried right through with his studs and caught McStay in the midriff. I would have thought it was a foul had I been a referee, but as I say, he's allowing the game to go on, and a lot of the clashes and tackles from the back, which, I mean, I've seen more tackles from the back here this afternoon than you see in a whole season down in England, I have to say that. And I think it's always bad for the game, because, you know, players are coming in there and getting whacked when they don't see the guy coming.
Yes, a surprising decision not to give a free kick there, all right, and the throw goes to Rangers. A little bit of nudging and pushing as the ball was coming from Gary Stevens between Walters and Whyte, giving the free kick to Celtic. Challenge there by Ferguson on Grant. Here's Whyte. Good running by McGhee. Gough getting back. A well-timed challenge by the Rangers defender. At the expense, though, of a corner kick. McCarthy goes up, and Rogan is also going into the box. Far-flung corner, there's Roy Aitken, a good chance now for Celtic. The ricochet falls kindly, and ball goes behind Tom Butcher. Mark McGhee looking hopefully for a handball decision. The ball ricocheted about the 6-yard box. Wow, real danger for Rangers here, and Aitken did well driving it across. It dropped back off the Rangers defence, and it was turned away by Butcher. There's Tommy Bonds. There's Aitken. An awkward one for Woods. And turned over by the Rangers keeper as Mark McGhee applied the pressure. Well, Woods did well, kept his eye on the ball to turn it over. Another corner to Celtic. Woods is committed. With Grant to McStay. This is Anton Rogan. Neat sidestep. Ian Ferguson made a good tackle. This is Whyte. He's away from McCoist. Peter Grant trying to control it. McStay again. Instant control. The pass finds Morris on the right. Walton's being tackled by Morris. Rangers in possession with Walton. Peter Grant getting back at full tilt now to make a tackle. And a body check there on Walton. Looks like a free kick to Rangers. Peter Grant covered a lot of ground to make the tackle. Well, a body check on Walton.
And a good right hook as well, I thought. I thought that was quite a nifty little one there from Mr. Grant. Could result in a bit of a black eye there for Mark Walters.
Well, a free kick it is to Rangers. It'll be taken by Brown. Held it away firmly by McCarthy, and it's back with Richard Gough. With Morris. Aitken finding space again on the right side of midfield. McGhee's made a run, but he's offside. The pass coming rather later than McGhee wanted it. So free kick to Rangers. Terry Butcher will take it. Now Drinkell getting a touch on from McCoist. Now Sterland. Stevens breaks on the right. Rogan goes to meet him. It's back now with Sterland. That's a very awkward ball. Well taken by Bonner. Joe Miller chasing across. But Brown can escort that for the throw. The John Brown wearing 10, playing at left back, his Hamilton Accies position before being transferred to Dundee, where he became a midfield player, and then earned that £350,000 transfer to Rangers. Frustration again for Celtic as that throw is given to Rangers. And a very late challenge there by Mark McGhee on John Brown. McGhee explaining himself to Brown, and Brown had released that pass a long time before McGhee went in, and the referee Bob Valentine is going to show the yellow card to McGhee. Well, there's no question in recent minutes that the Celtic players have carried a sense of injustice about them, and McGhee perhaps showing some frustration with that challenge, and obviously feeling a sense of injustice again about that booking, Ian.
Well, to tell you the truth, I just watched the ball being played away, and I took my eye off Mark McGhee, so I didn't see what he was supposed to have done.
Well, he certainly did come in late and take the feet from Brown. It's perhaps symptomatic of Celtic's feelings about the way the match has gone from the refereeing position. Rogan with a throw. McGhee not quite getting a touch. There's Joe Miller. Back with Burns. Gough stepping in ahead of McGhee. Morris to Aitken. Morris was intent on getting forward, couldn't control it. 5 minutes remaining in the first half. Still no scoring. There's the scoreline and an indication of the remaining 5 minutes for the first half.
In fact, Jock, we've never really looked like getting a goal, have we, in this half? It's been poor fare.
Well, the Old Firm League match is producing a barrel load of goals so far this season. 4 matches and lots of goals. McCoist trying to get through, and Derek Whyte holding him off. Well, Whyte appeared to lose his bearings for a second there, but the ball coming to no harm in the end for Celtic. There's Richard Gough with the header to Stevens. There's McCarthy. Sterland's header. McCoist across to Brown. Trying to take on Aitken. The Celtic captain wins it but concedes the throw. Well, no, indeed it's a Celtic throw taken quickly. Here's Peter Grant. That's intended for Joe Miller. A great interception by Gough. Stevens in trouble. There's Joe Miller. 4 minutes from half time. The celebrations begin on the Celtic bench. A dreadful error by Gary Stevens, and Joe Miller puts Celtic ahead. No problem there, it would appear, for Gary Stevens, and Miller wasted no time filling that behind Brentwood. Oh, what a disaster for Gary Stevens.
Is that not the second time in the game that he's given a bad back pass, Gary Stevens? That was dreadful, wasn't it? I mean, the ball just stuck on the grass here and set up for Joe Miller to slot in. A terrible mistake.
Well, Gary Stevens will have to overcome that. What a terrible error to make in defence in a cup final. There's the scoreline now. Joe Miller's goal, putting Celtic ahead. Here's Mark Walters. It's off the line by Whyte. A miraculous stop on the line. Rangers hitting back instantly, and suddenly the cup final has come to life. The shot goes beyond Bonner. We fully expected that to go in, and Derek Whyte appeared for the clearance. There's Mark Walters. Punched away by Bonner. There's Sterland. Trying to find Walters again. Chance to run at Morris. Morris preventing the corner. Oh, the Celtic, 2 minutes left, and what has suddenly become a hectic first half. Disappointing opening half hour or so. Suddenly the whole match has come alive with that Celtic goal, and look what these Celtic supporters think about it all. Well, they're here hoping to Led in by Walter, but they were for a goal kick to Celtic. The noise you hear now coming from the Celtic end behind Pat Bonner. Oh, what thoughts will be going through the head of Gary Stevens. A very experienced professional. But clearly he'll be very anxious to see Rangers get back on track. Full credit, of course, due to Joe Miller for the way in which he snapped up that chance. Drinkell working hard for Rangers, along with McCoist in a twin-pronged attack, looking for some Walters magic on the flank. Brown plays it inside. Here's Ian Ferguson. That's a good pass. Here's Gary Stevens. Well, I think he was attempting a shot at goal. It almost became a good pass for Ally McCoist.
That's exactly that. He was trying a shot with his left foot, which is not his good one. And had he even elected the pass there, he could have slid McCoist in with a pass.
First half for Gary Stevens. Roy Aitken with a header. Stevens goes to retrieve it. The Rangers makes it the throw. Well, the 45 minutes are over in the first half. There has been some time for injuries, notably to Tommy Bonds and to Paul McStay. Still 1-0 at Wembley for Liverpool, and 1-0 here at Hampden for Celtic, courtesy of Joe Miller. There's McStay towards Barnes. And there's Sterland, but the half-time whistle goes. Joe Miller has separated the teams with that goal in 41 minutes. It was a dreadful error by Gary Stevens. The first real clear chance of the first half. Stevens with the error. Joe Miller with a deadly finish. So the half-time score is Celtic 1, Rangers 0. And don't go away, we'll be right back with our studio panel right after this break.
Welcome back to the Scott Sport Cup final studio. They're having a breather out at Hampden, where it's very warm indeed. And the half-time score, as you've seen from the first half, which I think it certainly was controversial in some parts, is Celtic 1, Rangers 0. And we'll be looking at some of these tackles in the first half, which prompted some interesting comments from both Ian St John and Jock Brown, and also one or two gaffes, I can tell you, here in the studio with Davy Provan and Sandy Jardine. It was a disappointing first half until the goal, really, it would have to be said to both of you, wasn't it?
Yes, the game never settled down. Both teams were pressuring very well, and with that all we got was people just kicking the ball up the park and chasing. And it wasn't until after the goal, which was late on, that things started to happen.
Yes. Let's have a look at it. And I think there was an interesting point that you both made here, was that the throw actually looked as if it was Rangers' throw.
Yes, at the time I thought it was Rangers' throw, but full marks to Celtic. They took a quick throw and caught them up the park. But having said that, Stevens makes a terrible back pass, and Joe Miller did terrific.
Mm-hmm. Well, it certainly was an interesting one, and Miller, as you said, way back, was in the right place at the right time, Davey.
Yeah, he's looked very sharp. I think we all expected the game to be fast, but really it hasn't slowed down at all since the word go. It's amazing how quick the game has been. Nobody has managed to get their foot on the ball and make any passes at all. Mm-hmm. And I think it was inevitable that if we were going to get a goal, it was going to be from a mistake, because neither side had been making any chances.
Yes. The remarkable thing was that within 60 seconds, Rangers very nearly equalised with their best chance of the match. And the Celtic seemed to be taking a breather in the way they went to the other end here.
Well, they say a team's most vulnerable when they've just scored, and Celtic at 6s and 7s there, and Mark Walters for the first time in the match having a good chance. Mm-hmm. And a great bit of the defensive play by Derek Whyte getting behind his goalkeeper.
It was quite amazing, Sandy, how quickly the game came to life. It really was remarkable, because the game was actually going nowhere, was it?
Well, it was basically getting bogged down. But as I say, the goal sometimes lets the nerves go. People then say, right, we've got to do it. We've got to go and try and get a goal now, and the other teams got to say we've got to go to hold and get the football going.
Well, there wasn't a lot of football in that first 40 minutes, and we put together some of the challenges, some of the tackles. And there was some pretty hefty stuff going on, wasn't there? Much of it disappointing, much of it the kind of thing you don't really particularly want to see in a cup final.
Yeah, to be honest, I thought Richard Gough was very unlucky to get booked. Maybe the referee should have done things a wee bit before that. It's always easy to criticise the referee, but I think if he had done these things, the game wouldn't have went like that.
Yes. Yes, and the point was that the first 40 minutes was almost memorable for the number of hefty tackles like that.
That was a shocking tackle. That one. Mel Sterland very lucky. When you think that Richard Gough has been booked, really, I think Bob Valentine felt at the time that he had let a couple go that he should have punished, and he's booked Richard Gough for a pretty innocuous foul, and then he's let that one from Mel Sterland go. Really, Bob Valentine, I've seen him having better games.
Andy, what do you think of it so far in that respect?
I think basically the referee could have clamped down on a couple of tackles early on.
Right, well, we'll see how the second half goes. We're going to take a break. Rejoin us here for the whole of the second half in a couple of minutes. Welcome back to Scott Sports Scottish Cup Final. Interesting speculation in the studio here from both Sandy Gardner and Davy Provan, who say that they think it's a certainty that Graham Souness will come on at some time in the second half. Well, we shall just have to wait and see. Referee Bob Valentine is about to get the second 45 minutes underway. Celtic lead by that shock Joe Miller goal just before half-time. It's 1-0 as we go back to Ian St John, and first the voice of Jock Brown.
Yes, the second half here at Hampden about to begin, and there are certainly hopes here at Hampden that the quality of play in the second half will be a great deal better than the disappointing fare produced in that first half. The match certainly coming to light after Joe Miller cashed in that Gary Stevens era. And there's the goal scorer, Joe Miller. The Rangers clearly will have had some thoughts about how to turn the tide the second period. Very interesting, of course, the thoughts about the possibility of Graham Souness coming on. He has to consider, of course, the possibility of extra time this afternoon too, if he does come on. So he'll be weighing up, I've no doubt, how long he thinks he can last the pace. So turned away by Morris for a Rangers throw. Here's John Brown, away from Grant. Trying to set up Ian Ferguson for a shot at goal. McGhee back to McStay. Joe Miller drops back on the right touchline where he's so comfortable. Grant. Good ball inside to McStay. Now Celtic putting some passes together. There's Tommy Barnes trying to link with Joe Miller. Now Stevens. Whyte did well getting in front of McCoist. Well, even under that kind of pressure, McStay was trying to play football, losing out to Drinkell. There's Gary Stevens trying to send McCoist through the middle. Good play by Morris. Fine covering play by the fullback.
You know, when Richard Gough picked the ball up there was not a movement at all from any Rangers player, so he had to really just pump it forward and hope for something happening. There's no movement of the Rangers players when somebody picks up the ball.
Munro tackled by McStay. Back with John Brown. That's for Munro to chase with Morris, but Morris has enough pace. Stuart Munro battling hard to settle into that unfamiliar role for him, a midfield marking role. Always full of energy and diligence, but finding it difficult to pin down Paul McStay. There's McGhee, turned away by Butcher. Munro's pass back. Celtic will undoubtedly be very determined to hold their lead in the opening 10 to 15 minutes of this half in particular. Well, McCoist managed to remain onside by doubling back with the Celtic defenders, but that meant the ball reached Pat Bonner before he could get to it. Back it goes to Stevens. Drinkell tackled firmly by Grant. Peter Grant playing for the moment with one boot. Brown plays it forward, the chase is on to McCoist. He's elbowed off the ball by McCarthy.
Now I think that was a bookable offence because, you know, here's a player running through into the danger area and he gets an elbow in the face. I think the referee's very inconsistent this afternoon.
Well, Bob Valentine's last match in charge before retirement turned out to be a difficult one. A free kick to Rangers. McCoist certainly a hot handful for McCarthy when he makes these runs from deep positions. There's Walters playing it towards Butcher. A collision between Butcher and McCarthy. Butcher clearly thinks he was fouled, but it certainly was a collision. Didn't appear to be a great deal in it. Well, McCarthy has survived that little onslaught. And Pat Bonner in no great hurry about the goal kick. Keen to settle play down for his team. Aitken, Terror, there's John Brown. Miller and Butcher go for the ball. Neither could reach it in time. Celtic with the initiative with this throw, which Roy Aitken will take. Morris returns a chance for the cross. Brown was in the way, and Celtic have a corner kick. Lots of movement inside that penalty area as Tommy Burns places the ball for the corner. Right to the far post, Woods looks in trouble. And McCarthy challenged all the way there by Terry Butcher, and just as well because Chris Woods appeared to be caught in two minds. Started to come and then changed his mind. Joe Miller taking that flick from McGhee, robbed by Stevens. Spitting off the head of Morris. McCarthy did well, but this is Ian Ferguson. Fine header to Walters. Still Mark Walters. There's McCoist. Challenged by McCarthy. McCoist gets caught off balance. Well, they appear to think about taking a dive, Ali McCoist. This pass came from Walton, a good one at that. There was McCoist, couldn't control it. Headed down by McGhee. Morris lofting it forward, up goes McGhee with Butcher, who wins it. Drinkell gets his head to the ball, there's Rogan. And the pass back, saved there by Pat Bonner. Good piece of goalkeeping. Certainly hasn't been called upon to produce too much by way of heroics this afternoon so far, Pat Bonner. Brown getting above Roy Aitken. There's Paul McStay finding Rogan in space. McStay wants it back. Burns. That was intended for Grant. It's collected goal by Drinkell. Now Walters. Celtic goal with the two men there. This time it's Morris and Grant. Challenged by Brown, and Peter Grant withstood that, and it's Celtic on the break. Here's Joe Miller, McGhee on the left, Morris on the right, still Miller, tried to do it himself perhaps. Robbed by Gough, and Stevens steps in. Good defending there by Richard Gough, standing his ground, facing his opponents, not diving into any rash tackle. Well, Graham Souness now warming up. We may see him before very long. Going behind Pat Bonner's goal where the Rangers fans are congregated. Ferguson to Stevens. McCoist trying to reach that, but it will run for a goal kick. Morris settling in well after his recent appendix operation. Very quick recovery. Pat Bonner's view of the playing field. Back well by Morris. No mistake there. Pat Bonner looking downfield at Celtic fans facing him. Over towards Tommy Bonds. Sterland. Well tackled by Bonds. And the linesman says a throw to Celtic. The referee accepts that verdict. Butcher and Stevens. There's a bit of anxiety when he sends ball back to the goalkeeper after the error in the first half. McCarthy's header, there's Miller with a good header wide to Roy Aitken. Chris Morris. Aitken still there in support. Walters making the tackle. A beautiful play there by Paul McStay. He's brought down by Walters. Well, the man displaying the most skill undoubtedly this afternoon is Paul McStay of Celtic. Consistently involved in the play, not afraid to demonstrate his excellent close control and his passing ability. The kick will be taken by Chris Morris. Held it away by Stevens. There's Aitken. With Walters. McStay down to Morris. Aitken to McStay. The offside flag is up against Paul McStay. Linesman Bob Mullen from Kirkcaldy taking a little bit of stick from Roy Aitken and Paul McStay about that.
Certainly didn't look an offside decision from up here, Jock.
An awkward one for McCarthy, did just enough to ease the ball back to Bonner.
I'm just wondering how Rangers are going to get back into this game because they don't look as if they're going to carve out any chances. It may have to be a mistake by a Celtic defender or whatever to allow them in.
Butcher through the middle. McCoist appeared to be impeded there by Derek Whyte. The referee saw no deliberate intention there. Perhaps felt that McCoist ran into Whyte. So Davy Cooper now getting instructions from Graham Souness. Clearly going to join the action very soon. Brown's hurried clearance. And here's the change. Off goes Mel Sterland and on comes Davy Cooper. That'll mean some reorganisation of the Rangers formation, I think. Sterland goes off and Davy Cooper, who is the only survivor of the Rangers team which won the Cup in 1981 against Dundee United, comes on. McGhee playing it back for McStay. This is Grant. Aaron Morris. Celtic settling to a better possession game in the second half. Knocker bounce beating Butcher. There's McGhee. Now Chris Morris. Back it goes to Grant. The tackle was by Stevens. There's Paul McStay. And there was an offside flag up against Peter Grant. That's some superb football again from Celtic. McGhee playing it into Morris. He pulled it back for Grant. Stevens did well with that tackle. And then Paul McStay set up the shot for himself. but sent it wide of target. Joe Miller to Rogan. Signs now that Celtic are growing in confidence. Here's Tommy Burns striding forward, bundled down by Gough. Almost impossible to hear the whistle in this bedlam. The free kick it is. And that positive run from Tommy Burns causing all sorts of problems for the Rangers rearguard. Well, Celtic looking more and more impressive now as the game wears on. Looking for a second goal, which would make life extremely difficult for Rangers. Chris Morris, the dead ball expert, waiting. The wall did its job. Back with Burns, challenged by Walters. And the throw goes to Rangers. Headed away by Rogan. Rangers have made some ground, still have possession. Rangers now with Walters on the right and Cooper on the left. Gary Butcher's header goes Whyte. Now Burns. Good pass to Grant, who took up good position. That's for McGhee on the run, but the athleticism of Gary Stevens sorts that out for Rangers. McCarthy helping that back to Bonner. 1 hour of the cup final gone. Celtic still leading by 1 goal to nil. The scorer Joe Miller in 41 minutes. And the latest position at Wembley is that Liverpool still lead by that John Aldridge goal in the opening minutes. Against Everton, they lead by 1 goal to nil. Here's Gough. Burns goes back, challenged by Drinkell. Celtic's throw. Things looking good, Ian, for Celtic at this stage.
Well, they're much more composed. When they get the ball, they're keeping a hold of it. They're playing a bit of football, and they thoroughly deserve now to be winning 1-0.
Very Whyte, very aggressive going for that ball. Stevens wins it from McGhee. Long ball again from Woods, won by McCarthy. A bit of elbowing by Kevin Drinkell, picked up by the referee. Celtic's free kick. McCarthy thinking about using Pat Bonner, then sees Ali McCoist in the way. Aitken the target. Got a touch on. Butcher into space on the Rangers left. There's McCarthy. Lobbed by Drinkell. McCarthy batting to get it back. Derek Whyte gives him some help. Well, Derek Whyte did well once again for Celtic, and he's had a good match in central defence.
He certainly has. He's very tidy. He's sweeping up around Big McCarthy. He's let McCarthy go for most of the stuff, and Whyte is doing the tidying up.
Pat Bonner taking all the time he can about bringing the ball out. Here's Davy Cooper picking out Stevens. Walters breaks on the right. Peter Grant causing problems for Stevens. Butcher to Gough. Well, Celtic will not be unhappy about this, keeping the ball in the Rangers' half.
There was just no movement at all when Rangers picked the ball up. everybody's just standing looking at the player with the ball. You know, they desperately need somebody in the middle of the field there who can go and get the ball. I mean, Wilkins obviously would have been the ideal man today. Ferguson is not there, so he's missing. And Graham Souness, you know, the last card really that we've got to play. And I think Graham should get on there.
Well, Graham Souness still resisting the temptation to go on the field. A free kick now to Rangers, which Davy Cooper will take. Gough and Butcher waiting in the corner of the box. Back towards Gough. Back it goes to Walters. Corner was down, it's hooked back in by McCoist, up goes McCarthy. McStay's clearance. And here's Roy Aitken now surging out of defence. Stopped by Ian Ferguson. Well, the Celtic defence moving very dangerously there. No question about that. Rangers taking great encouragement in that burst of activity around Pat Bonner. And Mick McCarthy won a vital high ball in the 6-yard box in the midst of all that action. There's McCoist. Drinkell to Walters. Here's Davy Cooper. Blocked by McCarthy. Cooper content to accept the throw. Here's Walters. Nodded out by McCarthy. Grant and Ian Ferguson together. McStay with a pass towards Miller. Here's McStay again. That was intended for Chris Morris on the break. Well, suddenly Rangers have picked up the pace a little. Cooper's arrival has certainly done no harm at all. Here he goes again. Oh, brilliantly passed by Aitken. That's towards Drinkell. Derek Whyte was there. And Bonner coming all the way out to catch it. Well, that was very determined play by Pat Bonner, but what a great cross this is. Look at this ball from Cooper now. Drinkell had Ian Ferguson open on the penalty spot, but he looked for Ali McCoist, who was in fact adjudged offside.
As you say, Cooper at least has come on and he's managed to find another blue jersey when he gets the ball. And that's just what Rangers have not been doing. They get it and they just give it away. And it takes a player of class like David Cooper and a player with experience to say, okay, let's try and keep a hold of this ball when we've got it.
The impressive aerial shot again on Hampden. No activity just for the moment while Paul McStay gets some treatment. Well, he certainly is a player, perhaps the player most of all that Celtic will want to keep on the field. Well, Graham Souness doing the stretching exercises which appear to indicate that he'll be involved in the play before very long. McStay back on his feet. Good leap there by Gough. This is Walters. Stevens goes outside him. Tackle came from Bonds. It's a free kick, all right. Acknowledged by Bonds instantly.
That's the first time we've seen Walters move to the right-hand side of the field, Jock. And, you know, I don't think that's a bad ploy at all. I think if he stayed out there, we might get a bit of joy.
Butcher making a run in the box as Cooper lines up the free kick. Peter Grant will have to retreat a yard or two before this can be taken. There's John Brown with a header. Well, Rangers throwing everything at the Celtic defence now. Davy Cooper so deadly from these set pieces. And Brown did well, but couldn't keep it under the bar. Bonner with Celtic's goal kick. Deep into the Rangers half it goes, won by Gough. Stays pass intercepted by Brown, and McCoist is offside. Very eager indeed, Ali McCoist, to get at the Celtic defence.
But he's not really had a pass worthy of the name today, has he? To really get him going. I suppose the one by Walters was a lovely little reverse pass that played him in just a little bit earlier there. It's the only real contribution that's been made towards him.
Careless one by McCarthy, giving possession straight back to Rangers. Oh, there's a welcome sight for Rangers supporters. Souness preparing for the fray. Grant caught late by Ian Ferguson, and the referee is going to take some action here as Grant and Ian Ferguson square up. Roy Aitken quickly to the scene of the trouble to take Grant away, and the referee will now have words with Ian Ferguson, who certainly was the player who came in with that heavy late tackle, and he's going to be booked. The referee appears to be taking his time about this to let any tempers cool. Well, he certainly came in heavily on Peter Grant, and Roy Aitken deserves great credit for being so quickly involved in separating the players. There will now be the substitution made by Rangers. So here's what caused the problem between the players. It was played forward by Grant. There was Ferguson going in late, and Ferguson has been booked. Off goes Stuart Munro, and on goes the Rangers player manager Graham Souness. So Souness now organising the midfield. There are 21 minutes left of the 90 minutes as Souness takes the field. Well, no doubt have worked out that he could handle 30 minutes of extra time if required, and he's now organising the Rangers ranks for a late surge looking to save the cup final. And while Souness is coming on, the referee booked Peter Grant also for his involvement in the fray, squaring up to Ian Ferguson. So Grant and Ferguson booked, now a total of 4 bookings in the match. Here's Ian Ferguson holding off McGhee, looking for Walters. Rogan quite content to run the ball back. So Rangers have moved Ian Ferguson to a left centre of midfield position with Souness on his right. So it's Souness and Ian Ferguson holding the midfield now for Rangers, with Walters and Cooper wide on the flanks. Here's Joe Miller with Aitken. That's for Miller again. No offside flag. Back it goes to Aitken. The far post it goes. There goes Bonds. Off the line by Stevens. Well, Gary Stevens redeeming himself after the error which gave Celtic the lead. A great ball this from Roy Aitken. Tommy Bonds popping up at the far post, beating Woods, but Stevens was there. Walters and Bonds clash. The result is a throw on the far side to Celtic. Play from Grant. The tackle came from Souness. This is Cooper making space for himself, showing his great skill and dexterity in possession. Butcher thumping it forward. Ian Ferguson has got forward now for about the first time in the match. Appear to be held by McCarthy. Held out by Bonds. There's Souness to Walters. Rogan makes the tackle. Back it goes to Gary Stevens. Carried the ball over, it looked like it, but the referee waits play on as McCoist shoots it wide.
Well, the linesman kept the flag down, Jock, and it was a beautiful cutback. You've got to say that was a chance, wasn't it?
Well, there would have been some controversy there, I think, had that gone in, because it did appear to go over the byline before Stevens pulled it back. But George Dunbar, the linesman from East Kilbride, had a better view than we did, and he said it was all right. Interesting there, though, to see Ian Ferguson inside the Celtic box for about the first time in the match. The presence of Graham Souness has made that possible.
We just haven't seen today at all any Rangers midfield player getting forwards out, have we? So they've got to do something desperate now, and as you say, Ferguson's got to start making some forward runs because he knows that his boss is in there who can supply decent passes to him.
McCoist to Cooper. Another player can supply good passes. Davy Cooper soon is racing in, and the clearing header came from Anton Rogan. Well, soon is bursting into the box there. To collect the ball. Burns inside, there's Paul McStay with Whyte, the last little spell. Good pass to Miller, here's Peter Grant, and McStay again. Inside it comes to Grant. There's Burns and Miller. Chris Morris, challenged by Brown. Header from Butcher reaches Roy Aitken. Well, a misunderstanding there between Morris and Aitken, giving Rangers the throw. McCarthy guilty of pushing. McCoist was the victim. Davy Cooper with a set piece once more, lofting that in towards Richard Gough, challenged well by McCarthy. Here's Walters, and Walters touched it before it ran for the throw. Walters wants to debate the issue with the linesman George Dunbar, but the decision has been given Celtic's way with quarter of an hour of the match left. There's the scoreline, Celtic 1, Rangers 0, the scorer Joe Miller. The Rangers now having committed both substitutes. Graham Souness is one of them, tackled there by Burns. Butcher couldn't reach it, there's Burns. Crossfield it goes to Aitken. Burns again towards Chris Morris. Good defensive play there by Richard Gough. Intelligent reading of the play to come across. Cut off Morris. Chris Woods waving the Rangers players forward. Celtic still have Billy Stark and young Steve Fulton in reserve. Souness to Stevens. Souness once again, playing it through as Aitken challenged him. Well, we know that Graham Souness has been a player of the highest class, but to come in at this stage in a cup final, it must be very difficult indeed.
Oh, it's difficult for him, there's no two ways about that. But I mean, the situation was desperate, and it called for desperate measures, that's why he's there.
Joe Miller's pass, left by Aitken for Morris. Aitken will take it again. Possession play by Celtic. McStay made the run. Brown will prevent McStay reaching it, and that is a goal kick to Rangers. Well, we're at the stage in the match and the players will be entitled to be feeling the pace. Playing a cup final like this in the sun, stamina now becoming an important issue.
I'm just wondering now if the Rangers' strength, because they are, I think, a stronger side, physically a stronger side, if it might tell in this last 15 minutes, Joe.
They still have to find a way through the Celtic defence, which has played very well indeed this afternoon. Rangers get the throw this time. Here's Souness. Stevens. Well, that's good play by the fullback. The pass finds Cooper. Halted there by Whyte. Chance now for Celtic on the break with Grant. Gough collects it as it goes towards Joe Miller through the middle. Brown. Good play by Brown. McCoist back to Ferguson. Here's Davy Cooper. On his left foot. Blocked by Whyte. Appeal to handball. Waved aside. Referee deciding the ball played the man. No deliberate intention. Joe Miller holding play up with Celtic in possession. Careless were inside. Rogan and Walters missed the ball. That will be a throw. And I fancy it'll go to Celtic. Gary Stevens doing well, winning possession for Rangers. Here's Gough. McCoist beaten by McCarthy. This is Souness holding off Grant. This is Mark Walters. Drinkell's control. Inside is McCoist. Tackled by McCarthy. It's Aitken who breaks clear. Bombs in the middle. McGhee's on the left. Miller on the right. McGhee being hustled by Stevens, but he has kept possession well. This is Paul McStay. Well, this will be tiring for the Rangers players as Celtic keep possession. Given away by Morris to Butcher. This is Cooper. Now Butcher. Stevens to Souness. Played forward for Walters. And Graham Souness hangs his head there in disappointment about the quality of the pass.
The game's really opened up in midfield now, Jock, for both sides. We're getting a lot more space in there for people to play.
Richard Gough now coming forward. We'll see him a great deal, I think, in attack now for Rangers in the closing stages. Good pass from Morris. Here's Roy Aitken holding off Cooper. Looking for Miller to make a run, which he does willingly. Long left leg of Butcher comes in to concede the throw. 10 minutes remaining, 1-0 to Celtic. Joe Miller playing it back. Cooper wins it. They appear to be fouled by McStay. So a free kick to Rangers. Killing by 1-0, as are Everton at Wembley. It's Liverpool who lead by John Aldridge's early goal. There's Gary Stevens, who won a cup medal for Everton in 1984. Ian Ferguson, who won one for St Mirren 2 years ago. Here's Walters. Good flowing move this from Rangers. Fine cross and excellent goalkeeping by Bonner. Well, Pat Bonner celebrates his 29th birthday next week, and his experience called upon here with an excellent decision and a good piece of handling. Butcher's header. There's Davy Cooper and Souness. Pass finds Walters. Well, he showed enough of the ball to Anton Rogan. Well, the clock, the enemy now for Rangers, as they throw everything forward in an attempt to level the match. There's Gary Stevens. That came off Tommy Burns. Drinkell's header, agonisingly across the face of the goal and turned away brilliantly there by Whyte. Too long for Bonner. Drinkell did well. A looping header back over Pat Bonner. Oh, look how well Derek Whyte does here, escorting the ball to safety. And Chris Morris is on the ground. He's in trouble. Well, Morris was challenging Kevin Drinkell for the high ball, but he came by that injury. A great ball it was. Drinkell going up. There was Morris landing very awkwardly. Ian Ferguson couldn't make it as Whyte escorted it away. McGhee looking on anxiously from the track. Celtic very happy and relieved to have this goal kicked. It's a Gough's header, letting Drinkell chase. Morris shows that he's recovered fully. A good little sprint and header. Gough's header controlled by Souness. Here's Brown. Good lay-off from Ferguson to find Souness. Now Gough under pressure from Grant. Celtic working very hard indeed to close down areas where the Rangers players to exploit. Here's Butcher. Back it goes to Gough. Mark McGhee chasing. Here's Brown. Now it's Joe Miller's turn to come across. Cooper under pressure from Aitken. There's Gough again. Now Stevens. Souness wants the ball in the middle. Tackled firmly by McStay.
When you say Souness wanted the ball in the middle, he didn't want it like that.
Well, there's something of a hefty challenge from Paul McStay. A fair one at that. 5 minutes remaining. Celtic desperately trying to hang on as Rangers throw everything at them. Good play by McGhee, and Miller is offside. And Chris Woods making sure there can be no time wasting. Graham Souness has waved Gough forward into attack. McCarthy coming for it. There's Butcher. Now McCoist. There was no offside flag. That was Rangers' best chance of the match. Ball going high from McCarthy. Butcher wins this superbly. It goes straight through to Ali McCoist, normally so deadly, and he slices it all over the bar.
Well, you get the feeling after that one that certainly it's not Rangers' day. That was the chance of the game. Ali McCoist has had two chances really in the last 10 minutes, and that the better of him, and really, truly, he'll hang his head in shame if they don't score before the 90 minutes are up.
Yeah, Celtic may indeed be thinking about the champagne now with that miss from Ali McCoist. Souness left back over himself in the middle now. He's pushed Butcher and Gough forward. Souness now playing a kind of centre-half role with Stevens and Brown beside him on the flanks. The desperation now for Rangers with the two central defenders up in attack. Stevens returning it to Pat Bonner. Pat Bonner getting that stern lecture from Bob Valentine, the referee, about time wasting a moment ago. And there was an offside flag up against Roy Aitken. He's questioning the linesman about that. Does it appear to be correct? So Graham Souness now with the free kick. Here's John Brown. Butcher up with the attack again. Anton Rogan's headed out. Here's Gary Stevens preparing to launch the long throw into the box, looking for Butcher and Gough. There's Butcher. It will not count. There was a ball was in the air. It was taken out of the play. This will be clear, I'm sure, from the replay. Just watch Pat Bonner here for this. There's Davy Cooper backing into him, and that's why the goal has been chopped off.
Well, really, it was a silly back-in by Cooper, because when you looked at it there, I don't think the goalkeeper was really going to get to the ball anyway.
McGhee going up to Stevens. There's Miller. Now Barnes. Ian Ferguson getting back. Whyte and Drinkell chase. So does Gough. And Derek Whyte once again steps in with a decisive header back to Bonner. He really has been a rock for Celtic in the second half. Touchdown again by McGhee. There was Stevens. Here's Aitken. Taking the ball wide. The Celtic players in the box looking for a cross. Aitken prefers to accept the corner kick. That was quite deliberate. Playing the ball off Stevens. They can take a corner kick now in leisurely fashion and waste more precious seconds. Davy Cooper wins it for Rangers, and Cooper brings down Peter Grant off the ball. More time wasted. The linesman brought that to the attention of the referee. Now I wonder if any more action apart from a free kick will be taken after this. And there's going to be a booking, and it will be for Davy Cooper, who did appear to trip Peter Grant when the ball was away, giving vent to his frustration about the state of affairs at the moment. It looks good now for Celtic as time ticks on. Cooper did well here. Now let's see what he did. Well, there was the incident. And it's given a free kick to Celtic also. So a discussion between McStay and Aitken about this free kick. Well, that was clearly deliberate also. That allows Celtic to regroup on the halfway line, waiting for this final whistle. We've had a minute of time added on. This word has been handed up that Joe Miller wins the Man of the Match award. The referee checking his watch, the Celtic fans whistling for time up. There's McStay, tackle fumbled by Souness, but it's still Paul McStay going forward. Here's Joe Miller, the Mr. Superfit of the cup final. And just with that, he shows how tired he's become, tripping over the ball.